wedding season.
That's right. And I think I have shared everywhere I need to.
Okay. All right. So we are set to go. Are we good to go?
Yes, we are.
Excellent. So viewers all over the world, starting with our viewers in Jerusalem, which is Kenya, then to East Africa, to Africa, to the rest of the world, I want to welcome you to my online show tagged Keep It Real, where we keep it real because we are real people and we have real God and we have real issues. I have authored a book that is called Real People, Real Issues, and the Real God. So
Amen.
We are not dealing with fables. We are not dealing with comedies. We are not dealing with things that appear as though they were, but they are not. No, we are dealing with tangible things, real things, things that can be verified, names that are real, addresses that are real, phone numbers that are real. And so one of the people tonight that is real in our time is none other but my guest tonight. I will be hosting Reverend Joyce Kariuki, the wife of the General Overseer of Deliverance Church, Kenya, Bishop Mark Kariuki, and he's a father in this nation, and I'm sure there is no Christian that does not know him in our region. And so I'm sure you will be very excited tonight to hear from that territory, some things that you need to hear. And we want to welcome Reverend Joyce and to tell her that we appreciate you coming on the show. And like the sounds, keep it real. Here we keep it real. We don't apply cosmetics on our stories and we don't massage our stories.
That's good.
Yeah, we don't give it any massage. We keep it the way it is. Okay. And the reason is so that we can connect with the people out there. There is a lot of cosmetic life. There is a lot of fake life until they say fake it until you make it. And I always say you can't fake it until you make it. You will fake it until you make it. And as you're faking it, that does not deny the realities on ground. So ladies and gentlemen, all our fans, I want you to share. I want to give you 1 minute. You saw Reverend Joyce has already shared. I want you to share and help me to make noise about this. I want to believe that the single divine connection group, the singles that I started ministering to 2 years ago, thereabout, is it 2 years ago or last year? I want to believe that all of you as a WhatsApp group, you are watching, you are hearing. Don't call and say, hey, what did she say? I want you to hear the one they say from the horse's mouth. So now, I know you guys love me. My fan, you do. I don't even need any prophecy to tell you that, to assure me that you love me. I know you do. And one of the ways I know you do is that you demonstrate it. And how do you demonstrate it? One of the ways is that you want to make noise about what I do. Because you know that what I do is authentic. What I do is credible, is transformative. What I do is inspiring. What I do is just, bring national and global, continental and intercontinental transformation all over. So help me to be a partner of Jesus Christ by helping that lady that is somewhere, either married or not married, to hear our voices tonight and be encouraged and know that even God has a future and a good future for her and for him. This is not a show for women. This is a show for everyone. Whether you are a male or female, you're welcome. So I will encourage you to keep your comments coming. I have a fantastic team, a group that they don't get tired. They only need to be called that there is job and they say, here I am, send me. They are on stand waiting to gather your comments and your questions, and they know how to send them to me. So as we progress, I can guarantee you that we will read out as many questions as possible. So ladies and gentlemen from across the globe, help me to give a clapping ovation to Reverend Joyce tonight. Let's welcome her. Let's welcome her. Let's welcome her. Let's make noise. Let her know we appreciate her. Glory be to God. So this is for you, Reverend Joyce.
Thank you.
So now that the crowd, they have clapped for you, who is Reverend Joyce? Just in a few minutes, if you meet somebody on the road and they ask you, who is Reverend Joyce Kariuki, what will you say?
Thank you so much, Mama. I want first to say I'm so grateful to you for having invited me to come on this forum. I have a lot of respect for you and the work that you are doing in the country, and especially for the women. So I count it an honor to be your guest on this show. And also I thank God for He's the one who opens these opportunities for us. So thank you so much. And also to bring Bishop's greetings, my husband, Bishop Kariuki. He asked me to pass his greetings to you and your husband, and indeed to all the viewers, everybody that is tuned in here, listening to us, receive Bishop Mark's greetings. I like what you've said, that this program is for real people, real issues, because for me, Joyce Kariuki is that simple girl who likes to keep it real. I don't know how to fake. I don't know how to try and be like anybody else. I live my life just the way God created me to be. I'm a lady that is born again, over 20 years now, loving the Lord and walking with the Lord. I say He's my everything. Without Him, I would not be here. I love the Lord and I have served Him since the year I got born again, which was the year 2000. I've been serving the Lord up to now. I also happen to be a daughter to my parents, Gazirimbo and Wanjiko, and I happen to be the firstborn in that family of 3 girls and 1 boy. I am married to Bishop Kariuki, and together we have 3 children. And how many grandchildren? 3, 4, 5 grandchildren. And we also, by the privilege of God, are ministers with Deliverance Church International, where Bishop is the general overseer, but we are the pastors at the House of Bread. I love people and I love to be. For me, I have found that what God really created me to be is just to encourage people. And one of the things how I do that is just encouraging them with my life, with what God has done for me. If I can just encourage a lady, a man with a word, pray with them, I am satisfied. So I love people and I love working with people. There's a lot I can say, but simply put, that is who I am in short.
Thank you so much. I think even if somebody is meeting you for the first time, the fellow already has an idea who you are, because you have given us the most important aspects of your profile. The most important aspects of your profile. I got to know that you are related, that Bishop is related. Is he you or Bishop to Reverend Judy Mbugua, my friend? Her husband or so?
I don't know if it's the Bishop, because it's not me.
You are not related to Reverend Judy Mbugua?
No, it could be Bishop. I don't know. I don't know.
You know Reverend Judy Mbugua, Mama Mbugua?
I know her, my good friend. I know her.
Okay. Okay.
Yes. I need to follow up.
Okay. Okay. We need to clarify that with her later. All right. Okay. Now that we have a background, we have a background introduction of who you are. Tell me, how old were you by the time you got married?
By the time
you got born again in 2000, that was 20 years ago. So how old were you when you now got married?
I was 39 when I got married, because I got married in May, and in August is when I turned 40. So normally I would say I turned 40 when I got married, but I was actually 39 and some months. That was in May, and August I hit 40. So the year I got married, I was like, it's actually the year I turned 40 years. And I'm not ashamed to say it. It has been an encouragement to people. 40 years.
You got married at 40 years?
40.
40.
Yes.
I believe that there are many people that are watching us tonight that are in that bracket, both
yes.
male and female, but majority female.
Mm-hmm.
Whether Christians or non-Christians, my program is not for Christians alone. My
mm-hmm.
program is for everyone that wants to keep it real. Whether
mm-hmm.
you are a non-Christian or you're a Christian, we inspire everyone. By the time we are done with the program, I'm sure some people will change their minds to embrace maybe Jesus Christ, Christianity.
Amen.
So
Amen.
we are talking to women that are 30 years and above, and they are not married, because our discussion will come in two segments. We will be dealing with people who are not married, and later we dive into just a few minutes of marriage. So now, the category we are dealing with are those of marriageable sizes, okay? And
mm-hmm.
their age brackets within the time we call it has delayed. Mm-hmm. It has delayed. The category that we call it has delayed. And that category, culturally speaking, we expect that when a lady becomes like 25 years, you know, from 25, between 25 and 28, 29, that is the time we think is very ripe and matured for you to get married. And I normally say that when it was my time to get married, in our time, there was nothing like I'm praying for husband, praying for husband. We were busy doing the work of God. I got born again in 1984 in the campus. And we were busy doing the work of God, and brothers were busy looking for us to get married. I can't even remember whether we were praying for marriage or we were actually praying for the will of God, not that we lacked husbands. But in this season, I don't know what is going on. If you go to every church, it is like the number of single people there are more than the married. And I'm talking about statistically in every church, there is a problem of singleness. So what do you think that can contribute to a lady or ladies or men that are serving God very zealously in church, living a pure life? I'm sure when you got born again, you were serving God with your whole heart and maybe living a holy life, I assume. What could cause delays that we have people with good characters and yet no marriages?
Well, what I will say is I don't think there is one single reason, you know, where I would say this is the reason. And I want to believe the reasons are probably as valid as the number of, you know, ladies that you are saying. And I'm getting what you're asking me is how come, you know, we have these big numbers of single ladies, if I'm getting the question, single ladies in a church who are mature, who are in the age where, you know, it's assumed that, because I say it's an assumed, it's an assumption that at a certain age, you know, a lady should be married. Now, how I would look at it is that there could be also many reasons why. For example, for me, I believe my getting married at 40 years, which people may look at and think that was late. But for me, looking at it, I was not late. I was in the will of God. And, you know, maybe as I continue to share, you'll see why I had to wait for that particular time to get married to Bishop Mark. So for me, I was not even out of order. It had nothing to do with many of the reasons that I may give, but that was the ordained purpose of God for me to wait. Of course, now there could be other things that may have happened. We know about generational curses. They are in effect. I'm actually dealing with a lady who can count and say, you know, she has looked and seen all these girls in the family extending to aunties are not married. And, you know, so we know there could also be that happens in a family that causes a delay. But otherwise, I believe it is the will of God for some, you know, to have to wait at that time. But now, maybe coming to your question, why it looks like, you know, there are more single ladies in church, you know, But, when I was thinking of this, I thought, actually, it is everywhere. It's not just in church. So if we want to go to maybe a bank, maybe in a marketplace somewhere and counted the single ladies, we'll still find that there are many in that place.
Of course, it's the same people that are in the society that are in church.
Are the same ones who are in the church. That's right.
Yeah.
That's true. So generally speaking, we know that women are more than men in society, generally speaking. So, and even in church, we have more women in our churches than men. I know it is true for our church. The women are more. So you'd expect that just on those grounds that you'd also have the same. In same proportion, you'd have more of the single ladies, being more than the men. But now I'll try and just mention some of the reasons, and maybe if somebody is listening to me, they may say, wow, that seems to be me, because there are many. But I was thinking about this, and I was thinking we are in an era where women have become very empowered. If you look at many programs and many movements, even the feminist movement has tended to empower the woman, and the male child has been forgotten. So what has happened is women generally have become more empowered. So they have more, even economically, they are more empowered, and then they have become more independent. And sometimes also with that independence, they have everything they want. So there are women who may get to a point and they are wondering, I have this, I have this, I have this, I have this. What value is the man going to bring to me? I mean, even some, and I don't know if we'll mention this, but even somebody would say, but a child. But they'll say, well, I can get a child without a man. So with that empowerment, some women have kind of devalued marriage, or even raised expectations. With empowerment also, they now start raising expectations that if I'm to get married, I need a man to have this, to have this, to have this level of education. Now that is one category. Now, I'm not biased in any way. I'm just trying to analyze. Some also are choosy. Some are choosy. In church, especially for the ladies who have become very involved in church, they are serving, they have gotten married, not married, gotten born again, 15 years, 20 years. It is possible to get to a point where you even become over-spiritual, in the sense that even when you're looking for a marriage partner, spouse, you're almost looking like for Jesus, without the character of Jesus. That he has to be like Jesus. But honestly, you will not get a Jesus in a man in church, so we need to get to a point, they need to get to a point where you realize, they're imperfect, just as you are imperfect. So we also have that kind. And I know many of the single ladies, some of them could throw stones at me and tell me, no, Pastor Joyce, we are not choosy. But what we are saying is some are choosy. Now, there's also a lot of probably wickedness. Mama, I've heard you say that in your days, and I hear Bishop also saying this, that in your days when you got saved completely.
Yes.
There was no turning back. You were saved,
yes.
You got saved. There was nothing like dating. I have a boyfriend. No,
Correct.
Those people are not existing. But have changed today. So that you find there is also a lot of wickedness that has come up in church. And so really on one side, it is true that sometimes you lack that character, in the men that maybe you are seen around. And also some ladies, I've had them tell me that, in a church, maybe a man approaches them and they have a relationship, it breaks and he moves to another girl. So in church, maybe he has 3-4 girls he has been in a relationship with. Maybe he has even got to a point where he's asking her to sleep with her. So these are things we hear every day. And because of that, some girls have said, you know what? I don't want to get into all this. And they have chosen just to, no, let me serve my God. He'll find me when I'm serving him. And of course, also there can be a lot about upbringing of some ladies, maybe where in their family, they saw a lot of, problems maybe with their parents' marriages. Probably they have come from a dysfunctional family, a family where the parents were divorced. And this girl can come in church, and because of where she's coming from, her own parents probably, she has come with this mentality, I do not want to go through what my mother went through. I will not get married, without realizing, of course, God's plan for her. So maybe those backgrounds where people are coming from. Mama, I've also seen cases where, because of cultural differences, we are very cultural. Even when you think politics, we are very cultural. So let me just give an example. I'm from central province, and maybe somebody from, without being biased, maybe where? Nyanza, totally different tribes. So if I am so inclined, I am so culturally inclined, probably when this person comes and approaches me, I'll be like, no, in our tribes, there's no intermarriage. And you could be missing the purposes of God. So a lot of that cultural differences also. So I would be waiting for a Kikuyu man in my church. I want a Kikuyu man to show up. And if he's not showing up, you can be there waiting for a long time.
Yeah, let me cut in. Let me get in. I know you have shared quite a lot on the reasons. Viewers, please make sure you are sharing this program. Some of you may have come in late after I talked about share it. Make sure you are sharing it. Please touch share. If you're on YouTube, you can share. If you're on Facebook, you can share. I want to see that you have been a blessing, that you are a blessing. I've told you many times, great is the company of those that publish the word of God. So make sure that you share this. Let it go far and wide to encourage people and to inspire people. All right, Reverend Joyce, you have said quite a lot, very enlightening reasons why people may not be married, why we have so many singles. I will come to that, but I want to ask you yourself. You married at, let's call it 40, few months to 40, you got married. At what age did you start praying and desiring to get married?
At what age?
Yes, well, at what age did you feel, I think I'm now ready for marriage, so that we can know how many years you waited?
Okay, wow. I'll probably say after my first degree, I did my first degree here in the US, here in Kenya, which was 98. And then I went to the US to do my master's, and I was done with my master's in the year 2004. So I would say up to until that point, my focus was education. I wasn't quite really thinking about marriage at that point. But now, after my second degree, 2004, and I've come back in the country in 2005, and now I found some work to do. Around that time, now, it kind of follows that you are born, you go to school, then you get a job, then you get married. That seems to be that is laid out naturally. So
how old were you in 2004?
I was 2004, and now is what, 16? So minus now, I was about 30.
You were about 30.
Yes.
So will it be correct to say that you started praying and trusting God for a life partner for about 8-9 years?
Exactly.
So within those years, what was going on in your mind when nobody was knocking on your door? You had education, at least you have a good education, you have master's degree from the US, you should even be expected. I'm sure when you were boarding the flight to arrive here, you felt you were a hot cake. That by the time you arrive in Nairobi, the whole men in Nyanza, in Central, in everywhere will be on their queue, because this is a girl that have just come fresh from America, and you got a shock of your life. So what was going on in your mind in real sense that, my goodness, with all this, nobody is looking at me? What was going on in your mind?
Okay. One of the things that helped me is, okay, one, I was already working. Two, is I was very active in church, very Because when I came back in the country in the year 2005, that's when I immediately joined Deliverance Church. Bishop had just begun the Deliverance Church here in Nairobi. On day one, I was there. And, you know, it was a new church. So we were the first workers, and we were very involved in the work of God in church at that time. So I was busy in church for one. And secondly, I wasn't also, I'm trying to bring me to the place where I started feeling like, this thing is taking too long. Secondly, yes. I wasn't quite facing a lot of pressure from my parents. I thank God for that. So I didn't have that pressure. You know, now you're getting old. What is happening? But I'll say probably at around the age of now 35, probably. 35, you know, you're still praying, you're still believing. There'll still be a few men here and here who approach you, even get into a relationship. I was. But then, you know, a few months, a few years, it breaks down. So up to that point, you don't think time is really not on my side. But around now, when I got to about 36, now been in church for a long time now, you have seen girls come in, they get married, girls come, very young girls, they get married, and now the clock is moving, 36, 37. Now, I started thinking, I'm not saying getting worried, but now it came to my mind that, wow, I'm almost approaching 40 and I'm not married. And at one time, I convinced myself, that probably the will of God is for me not to get married. Because you see, like you said, Mom, I was not understanding why I'm educated, I'm born again, I'm serving in church, I'm not, ugly. So I was not understanding. So I kind of told myself, probably it is the will of God that I remain single. But even with that idea, like in the back of my mind, I still continue to believe there's still a possibility. So I still continue to pray about it. But I'll say this, and I'm saying this, you've said this in this show, we are real.
Yes.
I'll say, I was never desperate even once. Not once did I feel, okay, now I feel any man now who comes, I'll get married. Never at one time did I consider I can adopt a child. Never at one time did I think, well, I hear people get children, I can get one. Not one time. And that is what I'm saying. I believe, because God knew my destiny. God knew what it is He was keeping me waiting for. He also gave me the grace to just wait, keep waiting. But one time I had a group of my friends, and we used to pray for marriage. And so this one year we prayed, and we used to pray at midnight and all that. So we finished the program we had for prayers, and nothing has happened. So after waiting a little while, they came back. My girlfriends came and said, we need to start that program again of praying. And I told them, this was 2002. I got married in 2003. This was 2002. And I told them, you know what? I'm not praying again. With that 1 year we have been praying, I believe God has heard my prayer. And I believe if He has said I'm getting married in 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, my prayers will not bring that wedding or marriage closer. So for me, I prayed. I know God had my prayer. He will do it at His time. That was 2002. And I settled in my mind. 2003, I got married.
You have brought up something that I would like us to lay more emphasis on, because I have seen it as a big danger in our society, especially with the ladies, not even the men. Mm-hmm. There is too much desperation to get married, and it has been placed above every other need. Mm-hmm. It is like, if I am not married, I am a failure. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. If I am not married, God has failed me. Mm-hmm. If I am not married, it shows that something is wrong. I watch ladies cry because they are not married. I watch ladies disappear from church. People who are fervently serving God, sometimes they will, you said that in every church, women outnumber men, which is one of the reasons why we have a challenge. And these people are still the same people in the society. So it is not about church, it's about everywhere. So I have seen people leave church because they feel that no man in this church is talking to me. And maybe the population of sisters here are more than brothers. Let me look for a church where it appears the men there are more. They get there, they discover it is the same population from where they are coming from. So they keep on jumping from church to church, from ministry to ministry, and they will disguise it with a story that God led them. God said, I should live here, I should go here. But what pains me most is that nobody can outsmart God. No. You know, you can outsmart the pastor by telling the pastor like this and go, but God knows that you are actually leaving that church to look for husband, either outside the Christian fold. You are tired because the brothers are not looking for you. So let me go and look for unbelieving men and get married. Or you leave to get a child outside wedlock, then you return to church. As if God is our houseboy, we can use him anyhow. Or you now leave to go to, all kinds of places. So I think the issue here is you said you were never desperate. You desired to marry, but it was not a do or die affair. No. It was not a do or die affair. Then number two, it did not come in between you and service. That you were not married did not reduce the quality of service you render to God, right?
That's true.
Number three, after you prayed for this issue for a long time, you felt I've prayed long enough, isn't it? I need to focus on other prayer requests and allow God to have his way. I think this is the attitude that settles this anxiety. And I want to speak to our audience tonight. If you are watching me tonight, I can guarantee you, if you apply these 3-4 principles, you will return in no time to thank us for this show. Take away tonight the garment of desperation for marriage. Take it away. I said when we married, we were not desperate. Marriage found us where we were serving God. Number two, make sure that you are not in a church gambling with your eyes. Don't be a gambler in the house of the Lord looking for who to marry and who to talk to you. Be in your church because you love Jesus and to serve him and to serve God. Number three, don't reduce the tenacity and your love to serve God because God has disappointed you with marriage. Number four, don't look for husband outside the kingdom. You will get one, but you will get a scorpion or a serpent that will bite you all the days of your life. And it will be difficult for you to return to God because even if you return, you will face the consequences. Don't take shortcut. Wait on the Lord, love the Lord, serve the Lord, leave the details for God. Hallelujah. If I was in church, I would have asked for a clap offering. Wherever you are, I'm sure you are clapping. Now, Joyce, Reverend Joyce, let me read a few things as we continue.
All right.
In fact, somebody has said, a pastor is saying here, desperation is dangerous. It leads to truncated destiny. And absolutely, I endorse this statement with 120%. Desperation is dangerous. It leads to truncated destiny. When you are too desperate to get something, and the desperation is outside the will of God, you will make mistake, a blunder that can hurt you all the days of your life. Women, stop being desperate. Let's first go and do the work of God. Somebody is saying, in any instances, disappointments in life may make one just choose to remain single and serve God until the day God will show up for them. This fellow is saying, I agree with you. She's agreeing with us that even if it means we just have to be single and serve God, let us be single and serve God until God decides to bless us. Thank you so much, Isabel, for this. Caroline is saying, Mommy, I don't believe that you should just take any man that comes your way. I do not think there is anything wrong with choosing. How about trusting God for his best. Let me throw it back to you. You know, you say some women are choosy. That is why some of them are not married. I just say, I don't agree with you. That it is possible, I have the right to choose. I can choose, and I can trust God for the best. So what is the best? And what, can you address this individual in just 2 minutes?
You see, simply because she's not choosy does not mean others are not choosy. It is because, Mama, I can see you have almost 400 people viewing this program.
Okay, that's powerful.
Yes, so if there is one who is saying, I'm not choosy, or like she has put it, she has a right, which is true, that does not mean that we don't have others who are too choosy. So she can speak for herself, but the truth be told that we have some who are too choosy, and too choosy does not necessarily mean that you don't have, you know, in yourself, you don't have, I don't want to call it a list, but you have a desire that I would want my husband to be like this, like this. That is very normal. You know, for example, for me as a believer, for example, first requirement was, of course, you know, that a man who is born again and loves the Lord. So to that point, I would say I'm choosy. I was choosy. But the choosy we are talking about is where you're looking for a perfectionist. You know, somebody who has it all together. You know, a finished product. A friend of mine calls them finished products. If it's in finances, money, he has it. He has a home, he has a car, that's the kind of thing we are saying. But maybe, I don't know, I want to still speak about that issue of being desperate. And today, from where now I sit, maybe a few years before I got married, maybe I would not have spoken like this, but now from where I sit now, having been able to look, because my own story is an encouragement to myself. There are many things that my story has helped me to know that God is faithful, and God orchestrates your life. He orchestrates your life because he knows. Single ladies in the house, God knows who your husband is. He knows when you will get married. He knows where that man is. And if he needs to remove you from point A to point B where your husband is, he will do that. I saw that with my own life. When I was in the US, 2004, 2005, I've graduated. I'm looking for a job. And around 2004, I lost my father. And I came for the burial, but went back to the US. 1 year down the line, I was done with the US. I didn't do anything illegal or anything. My documents are still okay. That is how I'm still able to travel there. But in 2012, I just felt this urge, I need to come back home. And I came back. And most people were wondering, you leave the US to come back to Kenya? Nobody understood, including me. But I obeyed and I came back. 2005, that's the same year the bishop was beginning the church here in Nairobi. I was looking for a church. I saw on radio, not on radio, on TV, he's saying, I'm coming to Nairobi. And because I was at the point of looking for a church, that's where I went. That was 2005. 2013. Is it 2013? When did we get married, babe? I got married.
Don't get there. I'm coming there. Don't get there.
What I was trying to say, I know we'll get there, but what I was trying to say is that now I can look at my life and see all the way, even by going to the US, coming back, God leading me to House of Bread and all that. It was all orchestrated of God. So do not be desperate. You may be looking and thinking, I need to go there, or I need, like you said, you know, no, you wait. If God speaks and you're sure God is speaking and leading you, okay, but if that's not your motive. So don't be desperate. Don't shortcut. I say don't shortcut God's blessings.
Amen.
It is possible to do it if you move with your own flesh and your own wisdom.
All right.
Yeah.
Just to add to what you say, to this same daughter of mine that he says she does not agree with you, she said, how about trusting God for his best? You have answered it. We trust God for the best. There is a difference between best and perfect. The best is the perfect will of God for me, but that does not mean that this man is the best in the world. That does not mean that this woman is the best in the world. It is the will of God. And that is why we talk about Romans chapter 12. When we are transformed, we are able to understand the will of God, the mind of God, and we do it. And at the end of the day, God knows what to do to perfect us. Somebody is saying, not choosy, not being choosy, but no woman should engage with a man who has no vision. May the Lord remember all single women. She's saying, even though we are told not to choose, but we cannot have business with a man without a vision. I think that one I answered last night in our program, in the meeting I had yesterday on Keep It Real. I said, when you are looking for a man to marry or a woman to marry, look for a man that has a purpose in life. He may not have money, but he has purpose. I also said, academic qualification is a security for tomorrow. You may not have money or job today, but you have gone to school. Skills are important. So I am completely in agreement that I cannot engage myself with a man without a purpose in life. Esther Obasi-Ike will not do it, because there are some men that have no purpose, they have no vision, they are just hanging around, just moving up and down, moving from one place aimlessly. When you marry them, it's a liability. The same way, when a man marries a woman that is visionless, purposeless, if there is anything like that, you have brought a serious liability in your house. So purpose should drive us. Even if there's no money, there's no car, there's no house, let's look for purpose, let's look for vision. Okay, somebody is saying, I'm not choosy. Those I met were just deceptive, yet they were saved, but no more God has broken that evil spirit. So I'm now trusting and waiting. So this individual is saying, I'm not choosy, but I couldn't marry them because they were deceptive, yet they were saved. So what I don't understand is how people get deceived, they get saved, but they are deceptive. So let me ask you, Reverend Joyce, you said in your time of waiting, you met some people, you entered into relationships, it broke. Can you talk about that? Why did it break? What kind of people did you meet? Our time is running and we have not even gone half. So if you can just keep it short, what kind of people did you meet? How did it break? And how did it break your heart? Or did it not break your heart?
Okay. That's a tough one, but I'll answer. The first one, my first ever relationship, I was not even born again. I was still in college. I was in Egerton. So I wasn't born again and he wasn't born again. And that lasted quite a number of years until when I went to the US. So you can tell that was quite a long period of time. But again, distance and all that. And there were a few things I started picking here and there that I was like, like not keeping your word. So there was a few things that I looked, but also now because of the distance, it died what we call a natural death.
So that, how did the death come? Did the man tell you go, or you told the man go? Don't call it natural death.
I'll call it natural because we never sat somewhere and decided, okay, now you go your way, me I go my way. This thing is over. It just died.
You know why I'm asking you?
I know.
There are ladies who come to us and say, Mommy, I don't know what happened. I was going out with somebody, we were talking, chatting, all of a sudden, he doesn't call me, and things just went. So at times, they don't know whether it is the devil that cut this relationship or there was something the man discovered in them that made the man to run away. I have seen ladies who come and say, Mommy, this fellow proposed to me, or we are getting somewhere, all of a sudden, the man disappeared. 1 time, 2, 3. So we can't keep calling it natural death. What do you think that happened that made both of you to just disappear from each other?
Probably you see now, by then I was born again. By then I'm doing my master's, and he hadn't even been to his first degree undergraduate. So there is a possibility, I don't know, this is an assumption I'll be making, but there is probably an assumption I would make that he looked and realized, wow, we kind of have gone different ways. But you've told us we don't sugarcoat things here. I'll keep it real. It ended. No communication, nothing. It ended, and we never sat and said, let's finish this thing. Silence, and I moved on. Moved on with my life, and here I am today.
How many times? How many times, or was it in your life as a single lady? Was it only once that this kind of thing happened, or twice, or third, or 3 times?
So now I'm born again. And so when I got born again, I was in 2 relationships.
Okay.
And actually the last one was probably a year before that even the bishop proposed. And even now, this one also is a very interesting one. It's a very interesting one because all was fine, born again, he was serving in church, all was okay, he's educated, I was educated, we just seemed to be moving very well. But one day on a Sunday, I never forget it, on a Sunday morning, I was going to church to serve, and this particular Sunday we had said, I'd invited him to our church for the first time because we had been on for some time. And so this Sunday we're supposed to meet in our church. And he gave me a call in the morning about 7 a.m. and told me he's not coming. And I asked why. And he said, I'm not feeling well. I said, oh, okay. 5 minutes later, called again and told me, I'm thinking we end this relationship on a Sunday morning, 7 a.m. Now, I was going to church. So I decided this conversation, I cannot hold this conversation right now. I'll revisit it later. So went to church, served the day, and in the evening, now called him and asked him, what were you telling me? And he repeated the story. Again, he had his own reasons, many reasons. And I said, well, okay. Now, a year down the line, that is when now, I met with the bishop. So now, when I look at it now, then it was very hurting, especially this one, because at one point, I've shared this before, so I can say it here. At one point, this last relationship, he had even told me, why don't you start shopping around for a gown, because now we are getting serious, only to get now this call on a Sunday morning. But today, I can look back because breakups can be hurtful. And I was hurt, But now I can tell a single lady who is going through a breakup that because that was not my husband, that breakup had to happen. And it happened. So when a breakup happens, who knows? I know many times we think it's the devil and he could have a part in it, but it could also be God. Because for me, that was God. Because when we met the bishop, one of the questions, of course, that came up was, are you in a relationship? And I could boldly say,
I will come there. I'm looking at time because I don't want you to leave this show without telling me something in that line. So I am coming there. I normally know that we normally say a broken courtship is better than a broken marriage. That's true. I always agree that because a broken courtship or relationship, if it didn't break and it broke or breaks in marriage, it is traumatizing. So it is better to break before marriage than to break inside marriage. All right, somebody in Canada, somebody from Canada is saying, awesome show. Please, could Reverend Joyce clarify, did she get married in 2003 or 2013? Which year did you get married?
2013.
2013, okay.
Yes, 2003, I was still in the US. I came back in the 2005, got married in 2013.
Somebody, Lois, is saying, I thank God for you, Reverend Joyce, for sharing with us your story. The fact of not being desperate is very encouraging. Thanks. I think by the time we are parting, that is where I want to say seriously one thing, because I have seen women I know very well ruin their lives, abandon Christianity, compromise their faith, become cold in the service of God, not because God has not been healing them of diseases, not because God has not been providing food, but because they are not married. They are so bitter with God. I am coming to that. Somebody is saying, I think sometimes fellow Christians, even ministers, this one, I saw it, I laughed. Even ministers contribute to single people disappearing from church because they tell singles, they are praying without watching, which is not the meaning of that verse. So this fellow is saying that the ministers of God are telling members, you pray, but you don't watch. You pray, but you don't watch. So when they keep on telling them, you pray, you don't watch, they get tired and they leave the church. I want to correct this because I am a minister of God. You should know when your ministers are joking and just saying something from when it is something very serious, because every time is not a serious time in life. Then we should go to ICU. Once in a while, there should be humor. in the house of God. And I believe that's why some unbelievers don't want to come, because they think church is boring. Maybe this minister, I don't know the minister, but maybe the minister just said, when you are looking for a husband, don't just pray. Open your eyes. Watch also. In other words, look around, socialize, be somebody that is friendly. I don't see anything wrong with that. And that statement has no right, it has no weight to chase you away from church. If your pastor says, as you're praying, open your eyes and look, and that offends you to leave the church, that is where the problem of character, immaturity, and bad attitude comes from. Because, yeah, because even your biological parents can tell you that. Your biological parents can tell you, my friend, as you are going to church, don't you see brothers? Don't they greet you people? Don't you eat granite and chapati together? That is what a good parent should tell their children, and you will laugh about it. And you can even tell your parents, Mommy, we actually ate chapati yesterday, but they have not said anything. So that should not be you. If your mother tells you that, or your father, you don't run away from home. So I also believe that Christians have such bad attitude of getting offended by things that ought not to get them offended. And as they continue getting this offended, the devil keeps capitalizing on it to delay some of their miracles. Somebody is asking, how do you know when God is orchestrating your way and it is a delay, from when it is a foundational problem or the devil at work? You said that God orchestrated the delay so that you are where you are today. How did you know that? How do I know when I'm going through stuff? How do I know that this is God delaying me and that this is the devil blocking me?
You know, again, right now, like I said earlier, right now, there are many things I can speak now that, you know, like I was saying, when I was 36, I would not have boldly stood and told people, you know, God is orchestrating my life. That is why I'm still single today. I didn't know. Deuteronomy 29:29 is very clear. There are things that God has just chosen there are secret things that God just chooses to reveal, and others he chooses not to reveal. But now, from where I sit, I can be able to look back at my life and see, oh, this was the reason for my delay. This is what I would say. Be, like you said, be in the will of God. Be faithful to God. Keep serving the Lord. Like you said, don't be offended, you know, running from one church to another because maybe a pastor has done this. Involve yourself in church. You know, celebrate. Let me tell you, I went to every wedding in our church to the year I got born.
Absolutely. That's a good positive attitude.
I served, you know, and now you're also faithful. And I hope ladies and men also, when I'm saying you are faithful, you hear what I am saying. Faithful. You are not sleeping around, for example. You are faithful. God is faithful. I believe it. He himself will know how to orchestrate your life. And he doesn't have to tell you, I am orchestrating your life now. Remain in the will of God. Keep serving him. 2 years, 3 years, 5 years down the line, you will look back and say, oh, God was orchestrating my life. Now, if we are talking generational curses and all that, obviously with generational curses, there is usually a pattern. There is usually a pattern like this lady I was saying, who is able to look and see all my sisters, my aunties, and those who have gotten married, the marriages have broken up. With generational curses, there is a pattern that comes. And you know what? If you are born again, let's say even there are no patterns, for example, but you are born again, filled with the Spirit of God, he is able to minister and tell you where the problem is. I believe that with all my heart. So when you can notice in your family, there is a cycle, there is a pattern of things, you know, then you can know something is wrong. Again, I've just remembered something, allow me to say this, with God orchestrating your life, you are at peace. You are at peace.
Absolutely, peace.
In the will of God. So your mind, you know, you are not here and there. You know, that's how I was able to tell these girls, you know what? We have prayed, I know God has heard my prayer because he promises to hear and answer our prayers. And the day and the year he has chosen me to get married, I will get married. And I settled. So there comes a peace and a settling in your heart when you're in the will of God. But if it's of the enemy, you will know something. You will know something. I don't know how better way I can put it, but the Spirit of God will convict you on some areas or point some areas that you know there is something happening here.
Excellent. You have said it all, Reverend Joyce. I don't even need to add anything. Peace is a serious indicator of when God's hand is in a matter. And that peace must be received when you involve God in every aspect of your life, rather than blaming God for anything. And you have said it well. Nobody can know the orchestration of God until you come to the realization of everything. It is by faith we walk with God. So when things that are not good happen to me, I don't have the bigger picture. I only know I walk with him day by day, by faith, day by day. Then at the end of the day, Romans 8:28, all things, including the waiting, we walk together for my good. So brethren, we need to have faith to keep walking with him until we see the end of it. And I told you about a scripture last Sunday, Psalm 37 verse 37. Mark the perfect man, behold the upright. Mark the perfect woman, behold the upright woman. The end of that man and woman is peace. The end of them is peace. So let's be patient with God. Sister Fla Ambayo has made me laugh here. She says, I have asked young men, what is causing them not to marry the wonderful ladies in the church? They say that our ladies are too demanding. That the ladies in church are too demanding. I don't know what they are demanding. Can you say one or two things there, Joyce? If you know what they are demanding, I don't know.
I think maybe it comes back to that choosy. Choosy is, I knew that would bring a bit some debate, but it's all connected with the choosiness and the independence spirit that we were talking about, where I feel that, for me to, a lady may feel that I need to get married to a man, for example, who has a good job. He's supposed to take care of his family, supposed to take care of me. So he needs to have a good job like now. But let me tell you, I have seen even in our church, ladies who got married. I know one right now very clearly. The man was jobless at the time of their wedding. He was jobless. He had been jobless for quite a number of years. But like you said, he was also a man of vision. And 2 years down the line, he actually got a job with an NGO. Today, he works with an international NGO. So I guess that's where we are coming, that, the demands are that right now, this man should have it all together. Mama, have you seen some of these pictures of people who will post their pictures, maybe like even before when they were married 20 years, and you look at that picture and you look now, and you're thinking, is this the same person?
Correct, correct.
Yeah, but if maybe, let's say their wives had looked at them then, they would have disqualified. So it's demand in many ways. I love what you said. Just make sure your choosiness or your choosing is the will of God, not material things.
Okay. Now, as somebody is saying that we cannot finish this thing today, that we need to postpone to continue part 2. But let me see the much we can push before we tell them whether we can have part 2. Somebody, Dottie Peter, a man, Dottie Peter is saying, I'm nursing a breakup for the last 2 years, canceled my wedding 3 weeks to. So 3 weeks to time, he canceled the wedding. He broke up 2 years. He's nursing that issue, and he put a symbol of crying, meaning I am emotionally, troubled. When we talk about breakup, you have explained that it breaks the heart. It emotionally destabilizes you. But even in that situation, God has an answer if you are a born-again Christian. 3 weeks to the wedding was canceled. I prefer that it is canceled 3 weeks to the wedding than it is canceled in the night after wedding. We have seen people that divorced a day after wedding. And I'm like, What have they been doing all these months and all these years that they didn't know who this fellow is? Then immediately after wedding yesterday, somebody says, I'm not doing again. As soon as you marry and you have exchanged your vow, I do, I do. Even if after 2 minutes later you break it, you are a divorced man. You are a divorced woman. So to this brother that is nursing this, with the symbol you have sent me that you're crying, now can you take a handkerchief and wipe away those tears while we are still online? I want you to say, Mom, I've wiped away my tears. You know why? All things are working for your good. Is intentional. Never fail. All things, they are working for your good. That marriage, that wedding that didn't take place, you will come back and give me a chicken that it didn't take place because God is working out something. Now, somebody is saying, Pamela is saying, so if there are patterns of no marriages in a home, what should we do? I think the answer is simple, so that I ask you the question I want to ask you. Pray. Break that pattern. If a man is in Christ, he's a new creature. All things have passed away. Behold, all things have become new. For Christ has redeemed us from the curse of the law, being made a curse for us. For it is written, cursed is any man that hangeth on the tree, that the blessings of Abraham will come through to us through Jesus Christ. So as soon as you get saved, break away from that pattern in your family. Believe God by faith that you belong to the kingdom that is a new kingdom, and things will work in your favor. Now tell me, Reverend Joyce, how did you meet Bishop? You say he was your bishop for so many years, but now his story has changed from being bishop to being boyfriend and man friend. So tell me exactly where it started. We may not tell the whole story today, but just tell me what happened. I had one story, I don't know whether it's true, that Bishop told them, that I had a story that Bishop told them, get me that usher. And you came and he said, we'll marry you tomorrow. You people come and wed me. And that, I don't know whether that story is true. So today now you can speak for yourself. Whether he just said, call me that usher, and he married you. So tell us how he married you.
How many minutes do I have? You know, it's a long story.
Okay, just let's go with 5 minutes. Let's see how 5 minutes you go. Let's see how 5 minutes you go.
Okay, because you know that it's actually a whole book. It's actually a movie. So you can imagine me trying to do that in 5 minutes, but I'll try. So 2005, I've come back in the country, having graduated with my master's, and I'm looking for a church. That's another whole story where I was looking for a church. And one day I'd been going to any church you mentioned in Nairobi, I'd been there. And so in December, I'm seated in my mother's house on a Sunday morning, and I see the bishop in his program, and he's saying, I'm coming to Nairobi. I'm beginning a new congregation in Nairobi. And because, of course, you know, Bishop has been on television for many years. I was a Catholic for many years, but interesting, we still watched him on Sunday mornings. So when I saw him saying he's coming to Nairobi, I was like, wow. So on it was on the 5th of December in 2005, that's when he came into Nairobi, the first service, and I was there. I was among the first, I think 32. I don't remember the number, but the first people in that congregation. So 2005, and as soon as we got into a new congregation, so we started serving. All my years, I had served as an usher from the church we had gotten saved. In the US, I was always an usher. So even here, we just formed a team of us and we said, yeah, the ushers, because that's what he told us to do, find your gifting. So from 2005, served as an usher in the church. 2007, Mom Joyce, the first wife, passed on, went to be with the Lord, you know, stood with the bishop, and we continued. We were in Aga Khan Walk. Then now we moved to where we are currently, which is the KPCU building on Haile Selassie. So we moved there, and by then I was already the head usher, and I continued serving. So, and in between their serving, I was also working with insurance companies, CIC Insurance, and then I'd gone to Brigham in 2012. I was working in Brigham. 2013, January, I talk about orchestrating. God orchestrates your life. Mine, I know, has been orchestrated, and every life, if you allow God, he will orchestrate it. 2013, January, I decided to resign from Britam to run my own agency. So I resigned and I began my own insurance company agency, which is still on to today. So January, February, March 2013. In March of 2013, one day I've gone for a burial of a colleague of mine, and on my way back, I get a call from the bishop, and he tells me he's with a friend of his, and his friend would want to buy some insurance, and because they knew I sell insurance, why don't you come and explain to him? This was around 6 p.m. on a Friday. So I quickly dress up, you're going to the bishop's house, so I quickly dress up and I drive to his house. So I always like to say this because some people will ask, how did you know his house? We had been visiting.
Of course, you know that question will come. And how would he even allow you to come there when he was living? I don't know whether he was living with the children. Okay.
No. The children by then had left and were actually married. So as a church, we had been visiting the bishop. Remember, the wife had passed on in 2007. So we had made some visits to his house. So I knew where he lived. But up to this point, we've never talked anything, never said anything. So I go to the house, and by then it's around 6:37. And of course, he's with his friend. Again, I knew he's with his friend. So I enter and introduces me to his friend, who is one of our pastors, the late Paul Mwakio. And, he tells me his son wants the insurance. And I explain the insurance and I finish. So now I'm getting my things to leave. I'm done, so I'm now getting ready to leave. And Bishop just looks at me and says, I want to get married. And what had happened around that, a few months, he had been speaking in a language to portray that now he's thinking about getting married, because he had told us that not to pray for him to get married. When he'll be ready to get married, he will tell us. That's what he had announced in church. So now he started now throwing like signals he's ready to get married. So we used to pray for him. I personally and other teams, we used to pray for him. So now I'm about to leave and I'm packing my things, putting them back in the bag. And he looks at me and says, I want to get married. And I tell him, yes. And, we are praying for you and all that, So he looks at me and just says, suppose I marry you. So I was, do they say tongue-tied? I like froze. I said, what? Suppose I marry you. So I look at him and I tell him, the first thing that came out of my mouth was, but you're my bishop. And he says, yes, I'm your bishop and now become your husband. And I was quiet. So he went on now to try and tell me what's been going on and what God has been speaking to him concerning me and all that. And he has made up his mind and all that. So I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, so I didn't actually come here to sell insurance. This was the whole setup. So I look at him and I tell him, I want to go home. So he asked me, who do you live with? And I told him, my mother. He says, go tell your mother what I've told you. So I went home. I'm carrying a little bit. So I went home. And the first thing I went is to my mom and I told her what has happened. And my mom was my prayer partner. My mom had been praying for me to get married all those years. So when I told her, what she told me is you need to pray and fast. Yes, he's Bishop Mark, but you need to pray and fast that it is him. I've never forgotten. My mom rested in December last year, but she told me you need to pray and fast. Simply because he's the bishop, you pray and seek God if it's him. So I called the bishop and I told him I'm going away. So I actually went to Katoroni Prayer Center and I was there for 7 days, praying, fasting, asking the Lord, what's all this? And in there at Katoroni from Wednesday, I remember the Lord clearly speaking to me. And because for me, this was too big. Remember, I'm just an usher in the church. Yes. This is the bishop, the general overseer of Deliverance Church. How do you do that?
Bishop, what are you doing? You are confirming the testimony. Was this the way insurance company sells insurance? So you have come again. The way you sold insurance, you have come again tonight.
Got something out of the insurance sales.
Of insurance. Joyce, you know what? The best thing we shall do is to hold on this show here, because I'm sure the whole world will want to return. There is no way Bishop will show his face here and disappear like that, and we continue this show. We are not going to continue because Bishop is saying he wants to say something also. He wants to say something that you are a product of insurance. And somebody is saying here, no, somebody by Rachel is writing me, no, we cannot rush this issue how Reverend Joyce and Bishop met. We need to reschedule. We need we need all the details, so she cannot summarize. So you see now, I wanted it to go further, but Bishop came in and acted like his usual self. And then told us he's confirming that you are a product of insurance. So at this time, we cannot continue because there are issues people want to ask you.
I know.
So you know. So what we are going to do, we are going to...
We could not have done this in one sitting. We could not have done this in 5 minutes. Trust me.
Okay. All right. So it's a deal that we are coming back, right? Deal or no deal?
It's a deal.
It's a deal. So viewers, what you will do to help us is to share this. I have seen that we are 400 and something on Facebook alone, not even YouTube. Correct, 435.
Yes.
465. First and foremost, I want you people to clap for my husband because we are the two co-laborers. When you hear co-laborers in the Bible, the best co-laborers and the most ideal is Pastor Prince and Pastor Esther. When I am ministering, she's marking for me, bringing me the questions, telling me there are number, these statistics, population. When he's preaching, you see me with Biro, I am marking, that is how we function. So he has told me now, it is 470 something on Facebook, and there is different number in YouTube. So ladies and gentlemen, this is extremely, extremely powerful, and the viewership shows that we are talking about things that are real and things that are current and things that are people are going through, and therefore we can't rush it. And I accept what you are saying, Rachel. You are telling me, Mommy, we cannot. You are saying, no, we cannot rush this thing. Rachel, I agree with you. We cannot rush it because this will set many people free. This will help so many people to reorganize their lives and get refocused in life. So we are going to postpone this. But before we reschedule, I want to ask you one question before I say the final thing. How old is Bishop?
I'll leave that for him because his age changed when he married me.
Okay, let us not talk about the change, the one that changed. Let us talk about the natural one, the one the mother has the baptismal certificate, the birth certificate, rather. How old is he? Then later when we come back, you tell us how that age changed. So, because Bishop told me that thing one day, that his age changed. I was talking with him somewhere. He told me, you know, my age changed. So now you have confirmed it. So when you come back, you tell us how he changes his age. But how old is he?
You're still insisting.
Yes, you know, we are keeping it real here. Bishop cannot come to Bishop meeting and tell us that his age changed. He has to tell us how old he is.
He actually turned 67 yesterday.
Just yesterday?
Yesterday was his birthday.
Okay, 67.
Uh-huh.
And I'm sure you are like 47, 46. 47. So Bishop is exactly 20 years older than you.
Exactly.
So those are some of the questions that have come up. And we are going to, you are going to answer us to tell us the meaning of age difference in relationship, in marriage, how his age changed automatically, and what, some of those things that are realities, so that we can help people. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm sure you have been so blessed tonight. I'm sure you don't even want us to finish, and you are so blessed. We will stop it here so that we can give time for more questions and the whole story, that we don't want to rush her. She really wants to give us stories that will help somebody. And so we want to hear that story. And from that story, you can now ask your questions. And from there, we can see how both of us can join our hands together to pray for both the singles and for those who are married. That God will use the show to bring a lot of turnaround in the lives of people, which is the ultimate purpose for this Keep It Real. Don't forget, share this. If the 470 something share this tonight, you are talking about multiplying effect. And I'm telling you, somebody who has been talking in herself or himself and isolating himself or herself because I'm not married, and the fellow is gloomy because I am 40, the fellow is querying God, the fellow cannot give tithe, cannot serve God because God disappointed me. And you heard when she said, young girls that were coming to church were getting married, and herself was there attending their weddings. When we come the second time, we will look at it. Why is it that younger girls come to church and men grab them and marry them, and the older ones, and some of these young girls are not even speaking in tongues. They don't even know where revelation is. But these men will grab them. But the ones that are make they don't want to look their direction. So we are going to look at some of these things, and at the end of the day, women will celebrate themselves. Single men, single women, married people will celebrate themselves, and it will be a total different ball game, and people will see you can enjoy life. God did not make us to endure life. God made us to enjoy life. You can enjoy it as a single, can enjoy it as married, can enjoy it without babies, can enjoy it with babies. Whatever comes your way, there is a way to enjoy life. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm so happy that Reverend Joyce has kept it real. And we are so grateful that Bishop could show his face. He has made our day. I want you to appreciate Bishop wherever he is. Just appreciate him for making our day tonight. So thank you so much for keeping it real with us. Next Sunday, by the special grace of God, we will conclude part 2 of the story of Kathy, the young girl that slept with over 100 men. Remember that where we stopped it was, where she was explaining that these men were looking for people to abuse, not those that they love. And so coming back next Sunday, we will look at the impact of extramarital affairs, sex outside marriage, how it affects children, affects our spouses, affects our careers, affects people generationally, the danger of sex outside marriage. We want to look at everything so that at the end of the day, we can say we have had. And if we have had, we pray that the Lord will help us to also do. So once again, Reverend Joyce, thank you. And when we're out of this show, we agree on the next schedule to finish where we have stopped. And where we will begin will be how Bishop found you from insurance and how your mother spoke to you. We want to now know how you eventually said yes and how it now started rolling. Thank you so much for being my guest tonight. We appreciate the wisdom you have. We appreciate you. And when we come next time, you can be free to tell people what you are doing now, because I saw you said your insurance company is still there, even as you're serving as a bishop's wife. I noted it down because I also want to let people know this thing we call full-time does not mean full-time to sit down idle. You can be a bishop's wife and own chains of businesses. In fact, the more you have economic power, the more dynamic the ministry will be. So we will look at it. If you're a pastor's wife, a minister or a female minister, make sure you join us in the next show. For now, it is good night from Nairobi, Kenya, and with my friend, Reverend Joyce. We say to you, God bless you and have a good night. Don't forget to share, and thank you so much, and say thank you so much to Bishop. Tell him that he closed our show for us in a very diplomatic way, and we appreciate it. God bless you.
God bless you.
Amen. Amen.